So for those of you, and I know this is an audience that is in Romania, so I don't have to say that, but I'm still going to say it. Briefly telling you who we are. It's a company that was founded here in Romania. We are today the leader of the new category of software called RPA. We are actually the fastest growing company in the history of software. More than 5,000 customers worldwide. Despite that, very happy that our client still likes us. 68 net promoter score. In case that number doesn't mean anything to you, Apple's promoter score is 70. 30 countries where we have a direct presence, more than $1 billion in funding, and have been actually touted as the leader by Gartner of the RPA section. So that will be the only propaganda slide. No, there is a second one. So we have, they tricked me, the marketing people. So we do have customers across 32 different industries. I guess what these slides illustrate is that RPA is not an industry-specific tool, but it's really a universal tool that can apply to any industry. Now, what is actually robotic process automation? For those of you who don't know, it's not a physical robot, as like the movie shows a little bit. It's actually a software robot, so it's a white-collar robot. To give you an image, for those of you who are old enough that have seen cowboy movies, there used to be sometimes in the saloon a piano that plays on its own. Well, that's kind of RPA. If you replace the piano by the computer screen, you will see things happening in the computer screen, and there is no human in front of the computer screen. So a software robot, an RPA, can actually log into any application, move files around, send an email, answer to an email, make calculation, and so on and so forth. Most of the things, and you will see it's creepy, more and more of the things that a human being can do in front of a computer can be done by UiPath software. So, despite, to go a little bit now into the subject matter, there is a very famous economist, Robert Solow, who actually won a Nobel Prize for Productivity Studies. He used to say, we see computer everywhere, but in the productivity statistics. I will never dare contradict Robert Solow, but in fact, he wasn't totally true. What happened actually, we did see serious productivity increase until basically the beginning of the century. And because in a way, what software did and technology did, it really implemented relatively simple tools that were really step function in terms of productivity. And by that, we mean mainly things like ERPs. Definitely there is a before and after implementing an ERP in a company. And also individual productivity tool, such as the Microsoft Suite, or at the time there were also other products, Excel and so on, and Word, etc. But then we reached a point where we're starting to have a little bit more complex application. Basically the ERP vendors wanted to spread into the adjacent needs. They had an application for HR, an application for supply chain, and so on and so forth. And we started seeing a decline in the increase in productivity. Just to be clear, this chart is about the increase. So there is still increase, but the increase has tapered off and it's declining. Because when you get more and more complex, is a constant race between what you need, and you guys know because you come all from the GBS center, because what you need as a business user and what the application can do for you. And despite this, you always have humans that still have to mind the gap, because it's not exactly the way you work, and the business need, it changes fast, and the application doesn't have time to catch up with you. So no matter what, companies have basically a legacy. They have a technological debt, because the business need is always faster, and you're getting into processes that are not simple, and there is not one way of doing it as it is imposed by these applications. So come along RPA, and we believe we're the next big thing in software, because instead of having humans obliging humans to work according to the logic of an application, we actually look at the way you are working and deploy a technology that is as versatile, as agile as a human, but without actually being a human, without getting tired like a human, without making human errors, and so on and so forth. So RPA, our vision for RPA is actually the tool that is going to enable companies to connect among each other their legacy systems and to interject AI where it matters so that they can give their internal or external customer, in many of you gentlemen and ladies here in the room, it will be internal customers, the same customer experience as if they were dealing with a digitally native company. And I have a news for you. Even digitally native companies have now legacy. I'm very surprised two of our increasingly largest customers are Uber and Facebook. We were very surprised to be called by Uber and Facebook. They have plenty already of legacy. There are plenty, and they don't have also the luxury to rebuild everything from scratch, from end to end, the way they want it. And by the way, by the time you build it from scratch and end to end the way the customer wanted, already the customer has moved somewhere else, and you need to have people to connect. So that is what an RPA tool is. It's a tool that you can deploy very fast, very versatile, like a human, but with a much higher level of productivity and less error. So why did RPA arrive now and not 10 years ago? Why all of a sudden in the last 3 or 4 years things have come together and this has become such high growth? There are some fundamental trends. Some of them are technological and some of them are business related, and you're actually the representative of the business related trend. First and foremost, at the foundation of our technology is what we call computer vision. Computer vision is basically an AI, if you will, derivative, which allows our technology to actually understand what is going on a computer screen, which allows us then to connect at the user interface level, which allows to have this versatility that I was mentioning. The second, we have witnessed the summer of AI. We use this term summer of AI. For those of you who know a little bit of AI, the term was coined in 1953, and it went through many cycles where the reality didn't match the hype. And in 2012, all of a sudden, thanks to increase GPU and increase data, a group of scientists in Canada came with the next level of AI, which is deep learning, and all of a sudden AI has actually become a reality. And you will see, I'll talk about it later, how we are going to use this in the context of RPA. And the final trend is the companies started to care about business processes, and they started to worry about how to optimize them. Just to give you a parallel, companies started to worry about productivity mainly in the factory environment. So that's actually where Toyota invented things such as Kaizen, and then Kaizen became Six Sigma, and then that became business process reengineering. So it went from the manufacturing environment to, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say the clerical environment, and then companies started to realize, like they did in the manufacturing, after having done Kaizen, etc., they introduced physical robots and automation. So the same phenomena is happening in the clerical. So they took the Kaizen and they called it business process reengineering. Then they said, okay, why don't we put this the same way they did it with plants in a lower cost countries? They created shared service centers, GBS, and then again, like the manufacturing, the next step, they are going to implement automation and robotics. It is much easier today to implement automation. Actually, our first clients in this industry have been shared service centers and BPOs, because this was an environment where people had already documented what the process is. This is an environment where people understood what the process is. And finally, when I was listening to the previous presenter, this is also a place where you are hiring people quite often that are highly talented, and you're asking them to be robots. And this is a place where we even increases the job satisfaction. You're taking the robot out of the human and let the human do more value-added tasks, which should be a very good thing for your retention rate. And so usually when people do deploy RPA, they see a real decline in the turnover. So robots, about this debate of, are they going to take jobs, etc. Historically, and I don't have time to get into this because again, you're 7 minutes away from lunch, but technology net does not destroy jobs, and there are reasons for it. But today, robots are going to both emulate humans, as well as, in most of the cases, much more than replace humans, are going to augment humans. So we're adding today to the robot capabilities, cognitive decision making, visual understanding, which was computer vision, I already mentioned it, document understanding. So we will be able to take, because a lot of processes do not start necessarily with digitized information. So it's important to be able to extract information, digitize it, and understand it. Conversational understanding, when you can connect robots with a chatbot and actually make chatbot something useful. And then also augment humans. Obviously, robots will do things faster than humans. They will allow to do things such as predictive analytics that humans alone cannot on their own figure it out. They have intuition, but with a lot of data, you can be much more accurate. And finally, something that is typically replacing a little bit what traditional consultants do, which is process mining and discovery. So we have technology that allows you now to understand exactly how do you do the process and what will be the happy path to do that process. So undoubtedly, automation is reshaping work once again. And why do I say it once again? Because the original quote was is reshaping work, and I added once again, because we're in the continuum. We're not the first automation technology. For all these years you have been, ERP was a form of automation and so on and so forth. So we are kind of the last missing, as I say, elements of this automation journey. While almost all roles will be affected by automation, as McKinsey report mentions it, mainly and mostly it will come as a way to augment human capabilities. I have given here some quotes of our clients. Merck, robots do the work most of us hate doing anyway. Nobody misses the work robots were doing or are doing. So indeed, we have reasons to believe that this technology, like every technology, in fact, before RPA, is going to increase human productivity and human happiness. Does anybody miss washing dishes by hand? Frankly, I don't think so. And I don't think it's if you have a bad relationship, or if you're unhappy, it's because of the dishwasher. Because the half an hour that I was washing dishes, I can choose to talk to my wife. That's my decision, or watch silly cat videos on Facebook. That is not the dishwasher's decision. So technology gives you time. It gives you comfort. So in fact, today already there was a specific study conducted with those organizations that have deployed RPA, and 60% of the organizations had a very positive view of what RPA is doing to their organization. We have seen, again, this is a Deloitte survey that we observed 75% productivity increase. And again, according to McKinsey, worldwide, and when automation would have run its full course, this wave of automation that has to do with RPA and AI, we will be liberating the equivalent of 2.3 billion FTE of work. So I'm going to close and again to start to be on time, unlike my previous speakers, just joking, with a couple of cases. Here's an example, Chevron. Chevron actually is an example that they use totally unstructured data to structure this data, and then they have robots do the work. In their case, it was reports from oil rigs. We have another example, which is the largest full RPA implementation, which is Sumitomo Bank in Japan. Sumitomo Bank has implemented RPA across the entire organization. It's not finished yet, so it's a multi-year project. But as of today, they have already reduced their cost by $500 million a year. And they have put RPA in every of their divisions. Last is PwC. PwC has decided at the highest level of the company to transform actually their profession, and they have taken the pledge to give a robot to every single PwC consultant worldwide. So they eventually are going to deploy more than 250,000 robots, and they are already in the midst of the implementation, where they have implemented the latest number, I think 40 or 60,000 robots across the organization. Again, indeed, people will no longer be working for an audit firm, starting their job by doing dumb things, such as looking, reconciliation between different set of data. They will leave that to the robots, and they will just be adding value of telling you why are the differences and why you should be doing things in a certain way, rather than they do the painstakingly mundane job of checking things. Last but not least, don't make a mistake, RPA is here to stay. It's a new enterprise category software. In a survey that was done by actually KPMG, they do every year, they ask global leaders worldwide what are the 10 most important technology that will impact their business. Last year, when they conducted the survey, RPA came number 9 out of 10. When they conducted the survey again at the beginning of 2019, RPA jumped from the ninth position to the 2nd position. So according to global leaders, RPA is the 2nd most important technology that will affect the way business is done. And I'm right, I even have 30 seconds to goof off if I wanted to. So go have a great lunch. Thank you for listening.